Welcome back to Pace Immigration, paceimmigration.com, talking with travel expert Judith Coates from the Travel Agent Next Door. Judith, good to see you.
Hi, Sean. Nice to see you too.
So we've got some great news for travelers today, especially those frequent travelers. We've got some new rules. You shot me an email. You said, Sean, we've got to talk about this. I said, I agree, because this is good stuff. So we've got a lot of points here to get through, and we'll try and do it as quickly as possible, but some changes coming into effect. When do these changes come into effect, and what's that first change, Judith?
Yeah, so as of midnight on February 28th, now you will not require to have will not be required to have a PCR test to enter Canada. You can have an antigen test instead, or you can still do the PCR. If it's an antigen test, it has to be within 24 hours of your boarding your flight into Canada, and if it's a PCR, it's still a 72-hour window of time that's
Okay.
required.
The antigen test is what we've all commonly been referring to as the rapid test. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Now, there are some rules around that, in that basically what the government is saying is, to be valid, the antigen test must be taken no more than 24 hours, so I mentioned that, before your scheduled flight or your arrival at the land border. It has to be authorized by the country in which it was purchased, so you can't just get a random test off the shelf, because it has to be administered by a lab or a healthcare entity or telehealth service. So, for example, Air Canada and WestJet and a lot of other airlines are selling test kits to travelers, and you take that away with you. And that, by purchasing that kit, it also includes a teleconference with a telehealth official employee.
Wow.
And
Okay.
those, so that when you take the test online with them, they will administer the test, they'll see the results are negative, and then they will send you the certificate.
Yeah, I know someone who recently did this, and it went off with flying colors. There was no problem. Have you ever done it that way?
I have not personally, but I've had clients that have, and they said it went without a hitch. As
Okay.
you have to just make sure you have good Wi-Fi in the destination where you are, or good,
Okay. Like if you're sitting in the hotel or something
yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So that covers the testing. We've got something about these unvaccinated kids. What's that about?
Yeah, so up until now, children 12 years old and under were required to isolate for 10 days when they returned home, even though they were with vaccinated parents, but when they returned or came into Canada from being abroad. So now, if they're 12 or under and they return, they are traveling with fully vaccinated adults, they will be exempt from quarantine, and they won't have to wait 10 to 14 days before attending any activities like going to school or day camp or daycare.
Excellent.
So
Okay.
that's huge.
That is, I mean, for parents, that's finally some good news, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
been such a yo-yo for them when it comes to kids and vaccination in schools and stuff. So we've got random testing on arrival. Is that different? I thought that was the way it was, or were they testing everybody on arrival?
Yeah, before December, the beginning of December, it was random. Then they ramped it up to, they said everybody would be tested. I don't even know if they're up to that now, but now it's going to be scaled back again to random. And if you are selected for random testing, though, it will be a PCR test, but the big change is that you don't have to isolate or quarantine while you're waiting for those test results, because that was a big thing that was hindering travelers. They didn't want to have to wait. Some people were waiting up to 5 days to get their results.
Wow. Okay, so this is a lot of good news come down the pipe. And as you said, beginning of March, end of February or March 1st, people can look forward to these changes. Until then, though, all the other stuff is still in effect.
Yeah, and I mean, it is welcome news to have some of these updates, but our industry, the travel industry, is still advocating to have all testing removed pre-arrival in Canada, because if they're going to be selected randomly for a PCR test, we don't believe that it's really necessary to have that testing in destination. So that's something that we're still really actively fighting for, and we're going to continue to do that.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of that online. I mean, a lot of people are saying this is great. It's a step closer to what they want, but they do want testing gone, especially if everyone's vaccinated that's getting on the airplane anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, they did, the government today did announce that these are steps that to help us fully open. And so I believe that they think that this is going to be the first step, and then they'll see how it goes in March. And this is really going to, help a lot of people who are traveling, who like to travel in March, April, May, and then probably in a couple of months they'll revisit it again, and hopefully things will open up even wider.
I know that our clients will be looking, our Pace Law Firm's clients will be looking forward to it too, because they do a lot of back and forth traveling overseas. Judith, thanks again for stopping by. That's J Coates at thetravelagentnextdoor.com to get in touch with her. And we'll see you next time on the podcast or the YouTube channel for Pace Immigration. Bye, Judith.
Thanks, Sean. See you next time.